26 years later. But Jerry was the one who decided to claim the domain, remember? And we all sort of chuckled, because back then, how many years ago, 20 years ago, it wasn't quite the deal then to have a website and an internet site. But Jerry was on it, and we only paid, what, $9.99 or something, and he held it until we got our act together enough to put up a website. And so, just that one little thing, Jerry, endures. I mean, in perpetuity. You're just easy way to help the organization. I've known Jerry since I came to Baltimore virtually. We initially met in a political club. Jerry was always on the side of progressive things, and we met in a political club in the mid-'70s. And then when I came to the Maryland of Olmsted, there he was. He was the treasurer. And I became the president. And Jerry was a little worried about that because I would spend money. So Jerry would frequently look over his glasses at me. Huh? You would frequently look over your glasses at me during meetings and say that we didn't have that money in the checking account for that particular item. And I would say, well, where is it? And he'd say, in the money market account, of course. Jerry's treasurer's reports sort of read like, the letter from Paul to the Corinthians. It was admonishing, it was advising, and every once in a while there was faint praise. Every once in a while. But he kept us in line, and he was right. Because frequently nonprofit organizations tend to do good a lot. But you don't last very long doing good if you don't have some sound fiduciary base to you. And Jerry kept us there. And it wasn't easy because we were a wild and crazy bunch. And he kept us in line and on mission. I was asked to say what he contributed to FMOPL. And I think he contributed to FMOPL what he contributed to everything else. The Fund for Educational Excellence, the rebirth of the Roland Park Library, his work in City Hall on employment development. He always worked with clear knowledge. Jerry did not come unprepared. He did his homework. And it's one thing to have an opinion, it's another thing to know what you're talking about. Jerry always knew what he was talking about, and that added immensely to the dialogue and to the productivity of any organization. He was inclusive. He let all kinds of people come to the table. And if the table wasn't big enough, he just got a bigger table. Because Jerry knew there was a lot of work to be done, and he didn't want to do it all. So he wanted more people at that table, and he did that. He was dependable. If Jerry said he was going to do it, he did. And in a nonprofit organization, you know what that means. You don't have to make the second phone call. You don't have to follow up. You don't have to get to the event, and it's not there. Jerry was always there. And when it got tough, he sighed. He regirded his loins. He didn't do a lot of drama, but he went on with it. I mean, it just what you anticipate setbacks, you take care of them, you do it. He was open to new ideas, cautiously, always about the cost, of course. And then he said to me, where's Iris? I haven't met Iris. Right. He said to me, what do you think, Flip? He said, I'm thinking of putting my name in the hat for the Olmsted National Board. And I said, how have I been muddled along without you, Jerry? And then he went, and I was, obviously the rest is history. I think Jerry echoes a lot of the principles in his life that Frederick Law Olmsted held high in his life. Broad social and political concerns, wanting to improve the society where he lived. I think Jerry has a firm sense of place about him, about his community, about his family, about his city, and he reveres that, and he protects that, and he chides us to do it, and he understands authenticity. He is not easily persuaded by artificial contrivance. You can't really bullshit Jerry about it. He'll be polite about it. And I think he shared with Olmsted a belief in cities, as opposed to maybe perhaps suburbs, although Olmsted Parks instrumental in creating suburbs. I think cities as community, as neighborhoods, he shares that with Olmsted. A Democrat with a small d, diversity, everybody at the table. Parks were about everybody coming to a public place, as long as they behave, come to the public place to use it. Breaking down barriers in public places, race, gender, religion, all those kinds of things. And I think that's particularly important in Maryland. A little known fact, one of the things I do in my job is I do census analysis. Maryland is on its way to becoming the 8th majority-minority state in the nation. We now have 5 states where the majority of the population is minority: California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and Florida. Maryland will be 8, and in 2020 we will be a majority-minority state. And if you're not about diversity in Maryland, you're not anywhere in Maryland. You really have to understand it and work with it. I think Jerry knows about Frederick Olmsted, a love of design and what it can create in terms of human interaction, and how good park design is essential for relieving urban stress and all the Olmsted tenets and principles we all learned, and to identify how people can move through it different ways and still share the same space. And he did that organizationally as well. And of course, his iconic role in Park. That is true. I think perhaps the most important thing Jerry and Frederick Olmsted share is stewardship. You just take responsibility.